follows a different pattern, but is still, of course, affected by gravity, and it still is pulled downward. So basically, whenever you're shading hair, you just want to pay attention to what direction the hair is going in, and make sure that your strokes are following that same path. If it's not following that path, like I said, it's going to look weird like that. Like, where's that? Where is it going? Doesn't make any sense. So just make sure that you have that in mind when you're drawing hair. So this is going to be a little bit repetitive. You're basically just going to be seeing me basically just doing this exact same thing over and over again. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put this in some time lapse. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Alright, so as you can see here, I have pretty much filled in the entire head here with shading, and this is like the rough, like, basics of the shading here. And as you can see, of course, the darker areas are up towards the hairline, and a lot more darker areas down here where they're kind of hidden by shadow. I forgot to mention that, of course, when you're shading hair, you want to pay attention to where the light source is. And like I've said in previous videos, I kind of favor this sort of like, you know, 3/4 view sort of to the side over here. And of course, the light source, the lovely light source, is going to be over here. Look at this derpy sun. Whee! Anyway, so the lovely light source is going to be over here, and so it's going to make a sort of like ray across the hair over here where it shines. Because, you know, if you have hair that has a sort of texture, it'll be relatively shiny. So in anime, you can really play upon that. You can definitely make it as shiny as you want. And I use this little like trick here. You can also do this in clothing and such too. And I like to call these little things right here. You can see I made these little half circles here. And basically what I like to call this bubbling. And it's kind of a funny term for it. I don't know if there's actually like a word for it, but I just call it bubbling. And basically why I call it that is because it kind of makes it look like the hair is sort of sticking out a little bit. It's making emphasis on it, like it's sort of rounding it out, this little area here. So I like to call it bubbling. And basically you just sort of make the darker area underneath, like this. See all these darker areas underneath it, and just sort of leave a little bit of that white area, like just leave that white area, and it kind of makes it look like the hair is sort of popping out a little bit, like it's a little bit closer to you. And I just think it looks kind of cool. Now, I haven't really finished this all the way. I'm going to go ahead and add some more details and such, and there's a few things that I want to point out too. If you've noticed, I left a lot of white space in here. There's lots and lots of white space, and that's perfectly fine. But we should probably get rid of some of the white space so it doesn't seem like so much like black and white. We want to have some more transitional tones in here. So I'm going to go in here with my pencil, and just these other little areas, like right in here, like where other strands of hair sort of covering up these, I'm going to go ahead and shade them a little bit, get rid of some of that white space. Not all of it, like don't make it too dark, of course, just make it a little bit gray, to indicate that these areas are more in shadow. Get rid of some of that white space, because we don't need it. We got plenty of white space. Got plenty of white space. So yes, we're just going to get rid of some of that. In the areas that are covered by shadow, of course. You don't need to get rid of all of them. But the reason why I leave a lot of white space in there, especially as you can see where these sort of strands of hair like meets, you can see like right here there's this line of white Right here, there's this line of white, right here. And that's because you just want to imagine that the sun is sort of hitting it. It's sort of catching it and making that line just sort of stand out. Now see, if I wasn't to leave that white space in there, it would kind of make the strands of hair seem like they're kind of melting together. It wouldn't give a lot of definition as to where one lock of hair starts and where it ends. So you definitely want to leave even this, see this kind of space right here where it's not white, but it's sort of like a mid-gray. That indicates like where one strand of hair starts and where the other one ends. If you don't do that, like I said, it's going to make your hair kind of just blend together in one big blob. And if you want somewhat realistic hair, you want to make sure that these strands are separated. And then it gives it volume and depth and whatnot. All those lovely good things. So as you've probably already noticed too, is that the initial outline that I've made, I haven't really darkened it at all. But as you've probably seen from my sketchbooks, when I draw with graphite pencils, I make it a point to make these lines in here, these little connecting lines that are hidden by shadow, like right, you know, it's so hard to explain. I don't know how to explain this. I never know how to explain this. These lines right here of the hair that kind of meet with the forehead. I want to make these lines really dark because this is where the shadows of the face are. So I'm going to go in here and make these really dark. Just going in here. Some pretty hard pressure and just making these little lines dark. And I'm going to go around all of the hair and do this. Just make all of these lines pretty dark. Again, because this is where the shadow of the face will be. And at the end, I'm going to be adding some extra little shading on the face so you can see the final image, so you'll see how that will help separate the hair from the face. Because although we want it to blend together, like, you know, harmoniously, we don't necessarily want it to just be one blurry mess where you don't know where one thing starts and the other ends. So I'm basically just going to go around and just sort of put in these lines, just darken up some areas that would be hidden, like right under where that little strand of hair is, and over here. And like I said, I do this with pretty much everything I draw, whether it's clothes or hair and stuff. Just go ahead and darken these outlines. You see, if you make your line arts, in a sense, this would technically count as like line art. If you make it all one uniform size, it can look kind of flat and boring in anime and manga anyway. So if you put a little bit of variety within your lines, within your line art, and make some darker, you know, in shadows and such, it will really add a lot of depth and a lot of interest into the things that you're drawing. So that's pretty much it. It's not really else too much. I mean, you can, like I said, you just, once you get to a certain point, it's kind of just about refining. Technically, I didn't really have to like keep adding all this extra darkness down here or anything like that. If you want to leave it with a lot of more white space, feel free to go ahead and do that. It's your artistic choice, but for the sake of a bit more realistic appeal, just filling out a little bit more darkness down in the areas where it would be darkest. And so that's basically what I do. I don't really know what else to say. That's basically just what I do. Just sort of follow the origin point of the hairline, and just sort of draw downwards from the hair like this, and then draw upwards from wherever the bottom of the hair is, like this, like that. And just follow the shape of the head, of course, and follow the shape of the hair. That's, like I said, it's very important that you draw out the shape of the hair before you start drawing the hair, because if you don't do that, you're not going to know where your strokes will go, and it will seem very random and messy, and we want to avoid that. As you can see, I didn't erase anything, because I didn't need to, because I knew where the hair was going, and it also helps that I've drawn this character and this exact same hairstyle more times than I'd like to admit to, so that is definitely a help. But yeah, so that's basically it. Just go ahead and make these sort of lines that we originally made for the hair a bit darker and add some detail where you want. Now you can also go ahead and take a white gel pen and add some highlights. If I can find my white gel pen, here we go. And if, like, say there's some areas that you like colored and that you made them a bit too dark and you took away some white space that you didn't really want to, well, you can just go ahead and use the little white gel pen and you can kind of like take those areas back. Or if you made a mistake somewhere, you can just sort of go like this and just follow those little lines and just sort of emphasize them if you had made them too dark or whatever. You can just go in here and add a few little lines and whatnot. Just like that. Whatever you want to do. There's also some people that will put a line across the forehead like that. I don't particularly do it, but if you would like to, you can. But sometimes I do like to put little dots, little shiny dots on top of the head. I do that quite a lot. I just think it looks cute. You are free to do that if you would like to also. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do as far as like drawing hair with graphite pencils. I'm going to go ahead and just shade in the rest of the drawing so you can get an idea of what it looked like completely finished. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'll be Alright, and here you can see that I have finished my drawing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I added a few little strands, random little strands, here and there, and that can give a really realistic effect to the hair. If you just put a few, like, just a few little strands here and there, kind of sticking out, it gives a really, like, I don't know, just doing that can add a real realistic effect to the hair that if you hadn't done that, it just wouldn't have. I don't really know how to explain it, but it just makes it a bit more real looking. So you can do that if you'd like. And yeah, so I've gone ahead and finished shading the rest of the face so you can get an idea of what it looks like pretty much when it's all finished. So yeah, I got a lot of people asking for a hair tutorial, how I draw and shade hair using graphite pencils. So hopefully this gives you more of an idea of how I go about drawing and shading hair. And I hope you learned something, or will use some of these tricks maybe in your own art, if you should feel so inclined. I don't know. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed watching this, and as always, if you have any requests for a tutorial or anything you would like me to talk about in a video, you can go ahead and post that in a comment below, and I will probably get to it eventually. But yeah, so thank you for watching. Bye!